Good evening, faculty, staff, industry professionals, and fellow students. My name is Zachary Flowers, and I am the team lead for Group 2 of the CCSE CRM System Development Group. Other team members include Mr. Randy Akufo, Design and Development, Ms. Megan Dotson, Design and Development, Mr. Jonathan Perez, Research and Development, Mr. Kevin Forrester, Formatting and Documentation, and Ms. Deborah Matthew, Formatting and Documentation. The request for this project stemmed from the need of a database repository in order to store information, input data, and retrieve that information that is currently being utilized in Excel spreadsheets throughout the staff. The objectives for our team was to build the backbone data structure as well as a user interface that would allow the compilation of data as well as the input of new data. One of the requirements that goes with this project is also that all documentation and coding requirements are presented in order for future capstone groups to be able to expand upon the user interface and the data structure in order to prove its functionality for possible implementation into the KSU software distribution system. Within this project, we established 3 milestones. Milestone 1 focused on creation of the database itself. We led with the creation of the ERD design and the logical design, which led into the formatting and scripting for the SQL Server. Within this system, we chose to use Microsoft SQL Server 2016 to base the backbone, and the fields were compiled from input from our project sponsor, Professor Dawn Tatum, for the fields that they currently utilize as well as any future that they would like, which included the foreign and primary keys to link the data itself. Once the SQL Server was programmed, testing began in order to ensure that queries could be pulled sufficiently to compile the information required. With this step, all documentation was compiled and submitted along with the milestone presentation. Milestone 2 focused more on the user interface development. Primary focus was on the identity of the required versus desired. There was a strong need for it to have a similar feel as one of the more mainstream CRM groups while utilizing a more open source programming structure. With that, we developed the architecture and layout and page flow, which was part of the theme that we had chosen to implement. Went into the testing rounds and modification based on visual feedback from project sponsor during our progress meetings. It was during this time that we also added color schemes and logos to match the CCSE current scheme and logo designs. All documentation was compiled along with scripting and test files and submitted with a milestone presentation. Milestone 3 focused on our final testing, debugging, and modifications as well as the compilation of our documentation and our formal presentation. And at this time, Ms. Megan Dotson will begin our technical summary and presentation of our front-end user interface and database.
To access our CRM, you will need to first log in through the login page. This login page has the option to register an account as well. We built this login page with the idea in mind that KSU could eventually connect it to their login server. This would allow for dual authentication and also for staff passwords to be uniform with other KSU services. After logging in, you will see our admin dashboard. This is the homepage of our CRM and is where you can access all the features. From the dashboard, you can easily access the calendar as well as client, faculty, and event information. We added the event reporting feature here as well. You can see it below in the second photo. For example, we can access the calendar feature from this page where users can input upcoming events. Now let's move on to the design of the database. We have three main tables in our database that are events, event details, faculty, and contact. These tables are connected by foreign keys described below. To the right, you can see the full logical design of our database, including every table, data field, primary key, and foreign key. We use SQL to bring the design of our database to life. You can see a screenshot below of the tables being created in SQL. We used many test queries while the database was in SQL in order to test the logical design of our database. These test queries were successful, so we moved on to the next phase. We used PHP to create the user interface and pull data from our tables. You can see by these photos our database went through many different phases. We had to design the database, create the logical relationships, build the tables, and finally create a working user interface that would effectively bring it all together. Now on to Jonathan Perez, who will continue with details regarding our project planning.
Hello, I am Jonathan Perez, and I will be discussing our methods for project planning and progress reports. Our initial method was to create a Gantt chart that properly tracked who was working on what and helped us better understand how to cooperate and manage our tasks and our deliverables to meet our deadlines. We also engaged in weekly activity meetings in which we discussed who was working on what, who finished what, any issues we were facing. We communicated to each other certain features that that would help create or help the project progress more rapidly, or different innovations we could implement into our current project. And we tracked how far along in the progress we were in meeting our deliverables by the upcoming deadlines. Additionally, we also had monthly progress meetings with our project sponsor and the project coordinator, in which we went over our current progress and discussed, made sure that we were on the right track and were presenting the appropriate deliverables at the time frame that they wanted, and were meeting the project requirements for their desired result in an application. We geared our internal project deadlines to our monthly progress meetings, in which we focused on making sure we had certain deliverables by the time of these monthly progress meetings, so that we could show them to our client and make sure that we were on the right track and properly fulfilling every desire or every requirement that they desired for the application. We concentrated our final meetings and work sessions on completing the final report and comprehensively testing our UI and our application to ensure that it met all of the requirements and was working completely fine. And then we also focused on ensuring that our documentation was very comprehensive and easily understandable, so that our client didn't have any trouble understanding what we were trying to convey and how our application worked and the features that we had implemented into the application. And now Deborah will be discussing our workload summaries.
Hi, my name is Inyoluwa Deborah Matthew. I am going to be talking about our workload summaries. This slide shows a name list of all our team members and their contribution towards the success of our project. For this project, our team leader was Zachary Flowers. He was in charge of our communication connection, which was very solid. He made sure that during the weekly meetings, each team members had an opportunity to voice their opinion towards whatever we were debating. And then he also was in charge of all the submission of all the deliverables for this project, and each other member, including myself, had different things that we contributed towards the success of the project. The next slide shows stages like 5 stages or sections that our project was divided into. We have analysis, design, development, testing, and documentation. On the right side of my screen, you can see how much hours was being inputted into these stages, and these stages have a connection with our milestone. For example, the analysis and design was during our milestone 1. We had to plan and also design what we wanted the UI to look like. And during the development stage, the development and testing went into milestone 2 and milestone 3 ish, like the early stage of milestone 3. We had to edit our CRM program, make sure that it was running smoothly, and then towards the ending of our milestone 3, we made sure to make a documentation, so a report of all the things that all the stages and softwares that we used towards the project. The last slide that I'm going to be talking about is our Gantt chart, which is a visual representation of our project schedule. You can see on the left side our project name, again, our deliverables, and each task that is assigned to those deliverables, and also each who in the team contributed towards those taxes, and the amount of time it took for each tax to be completed each week towards the presentation for our milestones. The next person that is going to be presenting right now is Kevin Forrester. Thank you very much.
Challenges and success. One of the challenges for our group was the limited access to our VM. The server only allowed one person at a time. This required to schedule out when a team member would be working in the server, either for our front end or for our back end. We had to create a schedule so we didn't interfere with each other's time. Another challenge was the division of work between 6 people. We had to make sure each member received an equal amount of work and not have members completing the same assignments as others. Another challenge is working in an online environment. Most of us were used to working in a physical environment, so when switching to online, it was difficult at first. However, over time, we were able to develop better communication methods and eventually got the hang of it. And another challenge was due to the COVID-19 pandemic, which created time constraints for our team. However, for successes, we were able to succeed by using a schedule. We also set attainable goals, and because of this, we were able to meet all of our deliverables on time. We also held weekly meetings that were led by our team leader, which kept us on track and made sure we were all able to speak on our progress and assess issues that would arise. We also used this time to know where everyone was with their tasks. For lessons learned, we learned that having 6 individuals working in a team requires a significant amount of communication. This is where our planning and scheduling really helped us out. Another is a team member is only as successful as the members it consists of. For our group, we had a lot of hardworking people with strong work ethics. Having consistency within a team helped prevent confusion regarding responsibilities and meeting times. Project planning online created a lot of complication within our group that wouldn't be present in a physical environment. Maintaining focus and dedicating time to completion of tasks, regardless of perceived importance, is difficult and essential to success in any project. Also, for many of us, we had to learn new programming languages like PHP.